Probably.
I would have figured that would have been your job, considering that's, she lives with you.
But I love talking shit about her. Such a horrible husband. And we should be live. I'm gonna wait for a bit until I get confirmation. Although on my phone I get confirmation. Alrighty. So it's Sonic Archie's anniversary.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Hooray indeed. Okay, everyone, say hello to our wonderful chat.
Hello.
Hi, Chad.
Hellos.
Greetings, friends.
There you go. The captain is back. Oh wait, the captain never left. No, it's Luke who's back. A melting man, yes.
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, I've recovered from last time, yeah.
There we go. Sorry, I'm not completely awake. Luke, how are you doing? Big projects running?
Oh yeah, I've been involved in a lot of voiceover projects recently. I could probably get the biggest one out of the way. I'm part of this independent dark ride that's being developed in America called Kooky Trails, and it officially started production, and I'm voicing a character called Riggy Mortis or Rig A Mortis, who works in a creepy wolf who works in a mortician. A mortuary, of course. I just had the recording session done on Wednesday, and I'm going to get paid for it, which is really awesome. He's kind of a salesman kind of person, so he's like, we can do almost anything for the right price. I'm not exactly part of the ride itself. I'm more like part of the pre-show. I'm not sure how it works. I think it's like something they show before the ride starts, kind of an old-fashioned 1930s style animation. But so we hear my voice over that, advertising the mortuary or something like that. But the client is saying that he might write more scenes with me in it. Fingers crossed, I might be upgraded to animatronic status.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Other projects I'm involved in. I mean, there was also the latest IMP episode that was released. That's a parody of Five Nights at Freddy's, where you can hear me as Foxy with a very impressive. Looks a bit robotic, right? Hope that's not much of a problem. Where was I? Yeah, I voiced Foxy in that IMP parody. Also, there's also the on Newgrounds. There's this series I'm part of called Fashion Police. They've just released the 4th episode, where I voice a character called the Scientist Attorney. It's a bit like a murder mystery, but it has like trial scenes. It's like something out of Phoenix Wright. So it involves like audience participation, where you have to work out who done it, which is I mean, and also the art style is quite interesting. It has like it's a bit like street art come to life with various styles.
Okay. Interesting.
Mr. Famous.
Yeah.
So I heard we have audio problems with Luke's voice. Is he?
Don't know, I think he sounds fine, unless it's... well, he sounded fine when I was hearing it.
Does anyone sound fine to me? To you?
Oh, no,
Yeah, you
I
sound fine
think...
to me.
Well, I think it's fine.
It's weird. It's just like on the stream you have a slight echo. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how to fix that.
That's Roger.
I wonder if it's not just Luke, maybe? I don't know. He's been doing most of the talking so far, so maybe...
When in doubt, blame Roger.
Yeah.
Blame,
Roger's
blame.
Maybe we need to put headphones on or something. Just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine for us, but of course, on the stream, everyone's echoey, although I'm not sure if Roger's voice on the stream is echoey.
Because it's so annoying that I'm talking about my big voiceover gigs and my voice is like coming out crap all the stream.
Well, no, you're just a robot. No, we're all robots.
Yeah, he's now
There's the robots uprising.
You're already there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so-
look for my headphones. And,
Johnny.
meanwhile, I'll put the volume down. Luke, maybe you can say your voice line thing again, and then
Okay.
hopefully this time it won't be as glitchy. Then
So I think it's okay. Sorry. Okay. We can do this. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll get that out of the way. Okay. We can do almost anything for the right price. How's that sound?
Bit of a delay, gotta wait.
I guess we'll find out in a minute when the stream catches up.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
Can't be a Dissected Alive without something going wrong.
Yeah, he's still got the same echo thing.
Yeah.
Checks.
We do apologise about this inconvenience, people, as Roger's trying to fix the problem.
How about now? Do I sound all right?
And has Roger changed anything yet?
Or has he just wandered off it?
He
Being
did
like,
say
I
something
cannot
about-
cope with this.
He did say something about going to get his headphones, so maybe what the stream is hearing is your voice coming through his microphone,
Maybe.
or rather our voices coming through his microphone. So maybe, I feel like that is the most likely culprit right here.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, it just shows how very professional we all are.
Yep.
Truly the most talented of streamers.
Well, I'm having a great time.
Might as well
Marvelous.
make the most of it at the moment. Beep bop boop. I am a robot from the future. Beep bop boop.
Exterminate!
Yeah, upgrade complete. Cyberman active.
All right, so
All
the
living
audio
things
works.
kneel before your master.
The audio worked again.
Let's just
Maybe?
check.
Is your headphones on?
I have my headphones on now. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so hopefully that'll solve the issue.
I hope so. Yeah, going great. So yeah, Luke did his spiel a second time.
Yes, I did.
Sorry, man. Going through the whole speech again. But yeah, let's say hi to Eddie, who's our guest for this episode.
Hello. Good to be here. I'm trying to work on my shyness. Am I coming through okay to you guys?
Yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah,
Okay.
just been a little panicky about that, but I'm good.
It's still robotic, apparently, so...
Yeah.
Okay, now I have no idea what to do, how to fix it.
Oh god, am I the robot?
Everyone
No, it's
sounds
all
like
of us.
a robot except Roger.
All of us except for Roger.
We are all robots.
Yeah.
Roger roboticized us all.
No, he just replaced
We're all
us with
robots on the inside.
duplicates.
That's the theme of the stream is
Save money.
Roger is Robotnik and we're all roboticized.
Fitting for Sonic Archie, I guess.
Here's the real evil doc.
Creators inside animals.
Shall we try restarting the call itself?
I mean,
Yeah, we could try
I
that.
guess we could try that.
And let's see if this helps.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, it's going great today.
Probably thinking yourself if it's something very simple to fix. Well, you think it's like, why is nothing working? I'm doing every tiny little thing.
Everything.
Technical difficulties.
It's like the rules change every time. Oh, well, it's not the most embarrassing thing I've seen. I've seen a stream once where a guy was
Hey.
talking for 20 minutes and it kept quiet.
It does sound like it's helped though. So
Yeah,
we now sound good.
Do I sound alright?
I think so.
Luke, you always sound fabulous.
Thank you.
We're no longer robots, apparently. So hooray!
We've all been de-roboticized. Yay.
Dear
Yay!
Joel. Okay, Luke, say your whole spiel a third time.
Okay, I'm doing my Ricky Morty side a third time now. We can do almost anything for the right price.
Ooh, nice.
That sounds so good, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, how much is it?
Your soul.
Excellent. Worth it.
I got friends on the other side.
Ah, my soul was My soul is used from an old lady. She only used it to go shopping. So.
So, do you know where this attraction will be, Luke?
I'm not sure. You might. I mean, I don't know if it's on the Kooky Trails website, which you might have to look. I mean, it's either Florida or California, one of the two. I'm not exactly sure, but it is somewhere in America.
Well, if it's in California, I'll definitely check it out if I can.
That's brilliant.
I mean, there's like a small video on YouTube, like showing off a teaser of it, but it doesn't say dark ride in Southern California.
Oh, Riverside, California. Interesting. Where's that?
I don't know. It just says in Southern California. No
San
exact
Diego?
I'm just. It's a bit far, but like, if I'm ever in the area, I'll definitely check it out.
Marvelous.
No voices though.
No, because we're doing the voices at the moment for like the pre-show and like demonstrations, that sort of thing, and also gathering all the voices for the ride.
Yeah.
Epic, man. Finally, your first actual official project.
Yeah, because I'm also sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with Roger.
Oh yeah, because I was saying I got involved because my friend Steph is also part of the ride. She voices this cat character called Floozy, and I was like, being as I know Steph and the client named Max, I thought maybe I could try and get myself involved. So I sent my demo reel. They gave me a bit of a test voice to see if I'm good enough, and they liked my voice for this specific character for a tryout, and I'm now became part of the project.
Yeah.
Nice. Your very own theme park ride.
Yes.
That's fantastic, Luke. We're all very proud of you, and all, at least me, slightly jealous.
Now everyone's jealous here.
Oh.
You have to be crazy not to be jealous.
Oh well, one day you'll be a theme park ride. I'm sure of it.
Here's hoping.
Who knows what kind of crazy theme parks they make in America? All these tourist traps. Kind of reminds me of that goofy movie where there's this crummy theme park, all the stupid rides.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like a parody of that Country Bears thing.
Oh right, yeah, the Possum Park.
Awesome. Yeah.
Who's your favorite box guy?
There you go. But right, yeah, today here we are for the special occasion of Archie's anniversary. Melting Man, tell us, how old is Archie now? Because you're the expert.
Yay. So Archie Sonic, it's definitely had a very long history. So this was, I think, it started back with, when Sonic was still new. It was around the time when Sonic 2 was coming out. So before they started, they actually posted this promo comic called Sonic Issue 1/4, and it's basically just a small preview for Issue 0, which they later posted in the ad like, find out all the answers in the upcoming Sonic number 0, coming Thanksgiving 1992. So it started off as this 4-part miniseries when Archie got the rights to do Sonic comics, and then Sega's like, yeah, that's fine, you should do more, and then it became this proper ongoing series with many many spin-offs and one-shots and long history for 24 years, and to this day it still holds that title in the Guinness World Records of being the longest-running comic book series based off of a video game franchise.
Yeah, impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, so this whole story they're going for with the freedom fighters and Robotnik roboticizing the world isn't just a Sonic CTM or Sonic Archie thing. It was like the actual main story that Sega of America went through. Do you know anything about that?
I know, when Archie Sonic started, that was when Sonic Sat AM was still in production, so they were going off of that segment. So it's kind of interesting how the comics came first, then the show, and then it kind of took them a while to kind of more adjust to the show's tone, how being more adventure, more serious, because when Archie Sonic started, it was more geared towards, be more wacky, comical, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I can't help but notice that a lot of the elements keep coming back in all the other projects as well. Like Sally Acorn also showing up in Sonic Freeway. And in the Australian theme park too.
Oh yeah, the Sega World at Cindy, yeah. So yeah, it was mostly Sally that was kind of this recurring character, like back then in the '90s, where like yeah, she was kind of the mainstay for the Sonic brand until she just became more of an Archie Sonic exclusive character.
And now she's an Australian icon.
Ja, die kan ik ook niet vinden. Abby, you're from Australia, right? You ever been to the Sonic theme park?
Never. I've never been outside Australia. I know, sad, but unfortunately I'm not at that time in my life where I can spend enough money to go traveling. But someday.
Yeah, but there was a theme park in Australia, right? In Sydney, I think?
Yeah, Sega World at Sydney.
Oh, all the way over in Sydney. I'm all the way over on the other side. I'm in Perth. Nah, not leaving my cul-de-sac.
That's a shame. But yeah, I know that Sally was a part there too. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the puppet show.
Oh yeah, they had this whole puppet show with Sonic Tails and Sally, and of course Robotnik. Except they used the Adventures of Sonic design.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Oh, puppet show. H-Hug would have liked that.
Probably,
yeah,
yes.
but some would say nightmare fuel when they see Robotnik.
Oh yeah.
Well, he should be Nightmare Fuels Robotnik. Okay,
Well, you're talking Nightmare Fuel, so I figured you'd be talking about the Cookie Trails thing to be Nightmare Fuel.
Creepy what?
Like the Cookie Trails thing, that will be like enough Nightmare Fuel.
Okay. So you still have audio problems and Luke is too loud?
Am I sounding okay?
I think you are.
Yep.
I mean, you sound fine to us, but like,
Yeah, it sounds fine.
hard to
Alright.
know what fixes what's going on in the stream for several seconds.
A lot of fun. I'm terrible at technical stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, we're getting some...
Oh god.
Oh, hello, handsome.
Yeah, there's the image there with the puppet Robotnik. Yeah.
love how the mustache goes around the nose, not just under it.
That's basically me after a bad hangover.
There you go.
Well, you certainly want to see that at the
Yeah.
end of your bed.
Nah, I think that's
We're all
what's
float
wrong.
down here.
Nah, I imagine that's like you during your drunken state, and this one after the hangover.
No,
Like-
I want to hug him.
But
Kind of looks a very
He
weird.
looks so
asterisk.
sad.
Oh yeah, it kind of looks like a knockoff Obelix. Yeah.
Yeah.
now we're just gonna be like, oh yeah, I gotta quickly copy this.
You look so
Just show
confused.
what we're talking about. Because Euan's getting us off topic.
Well, I started.
Hey, it's Roger's fault that we got off topic.
Oh, well. But yeah, so... Sonic Archie's big anniversary. I never read
It's big 30th anniversary, so yeah. Well, since you brought it up, yeah, I guess we should start by just talking about our own personal experiences with Archie Sonic if we read them.
Sure, we can have all our personal experiences so far. Abby, you're our guest for today. What's your first time you run into Sonic Archie comics?
I would have run into the Sonic comics back when I was around mid-high school. Finishing for the day, went to the grocery store to pick up some snacks, and over that where they have all the comics, the news agency, Power magazines and stuff, I found what appeared to be an issue. I think at that point they were about issue 120, I think. Anyway, picked it up, gave it a look, and I was like, yep, I'm buying this. I'm collecting them now. So started from there, and from then on, I sort of like kept tabs whenever I couldn't buy one physically. I'd read about it online, and yeah.
All right, cool. And you, Captain, what's your first experience with the Archie comics?
First experience, I don't really remember. The first memorable experience is I went to like a family camp out, and one of my cousins brought issue 125 with them, and that's definitely a hell of a jumping in point.
Yeah,
Because like
what happened
there's
in
just like there's some aliens attacking or something. They have like a black hole device that's gonna destroy the Earth, and Sonic destroys it by running right at it. And
Oh yeah,
then
the Zordar
gets
aliens. Yeah.
teleported thousands of light years away.
Yes, that's a good issue.
Oh yeah, 125. The whole
Oh yeah.
Zorda war. Yeah.
Sonic is sent away to outer space, and the rest of the freedom fighters think that he's dead.
Yeah, which funny enough, that's actually kind of how I started. Was with issue 126, where the whole Tossed in Space story arc. Like my personal experience with that was it? So I was with my dad. They were out getting groceries. I was sitting in the car just waiting, and then my dad decided to buy me some Sonic comics. Because around the time I was still fairly new to the Sonic franchise. You know, Sonic Heroes was my first Sonic game, and caught a few episodes of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog back when it used to be on Toon Disney. So then he bought me the Archie Sonic comics. Like, oh, this is so cool and amazing. And eventually I got around to being in official mail subscription where the new issues would come out through the mail like every month. And it started around, issue 148, I think. So it was near the end of Ken Penders' time. But yeah, I also recently posted a personal retrospective. So if you want a more in-depth look on that, then just go watch that, because otherwise we're going to be here all day.
And we wouldn't want that, you chatterbox. Sorry, you wanted to say your history?
Well, I think I became aware of the Archie Sonic comics around 2001, because it was basically during the time when my interest in Sonic once again peaked straight back up, as during 2000 it was at an all-time low.
You didn't like Sonic Avenger 1 that much? Or Sonic Shuffle?
One, I think it was just because that I just didn't own a Sega console at all, and no one I knew owned a more recent console. So because everyone was moving towards PlayStation and such, and
Blasphemy.
And Sonic Underground I just thought was very meh, and Sonic the comic was basically on full reissue mode with all their stories. So that was the point where I was like, okay, I've had enough of Sonic now. But then when the announcement came that Sonic was coming to GameCube, I was like, pew! Full, my thrust was full thrust into getting back into Sonic again, as it were.
What a heartwarming story.
Yeah. But in 2001, when we eventually had the internet, and I was looking places to check up on about Sonic, and SonicHQ.org net or something. Basically, they had a news section, and they were saying oh yeah, coming soon is the new issue, Sonic issue 116. And I was like, wait, there's Sonic comics, and I was not aware of it. But of course, being in the UK, we don't have Sonic comics here, especially around the time that now when Fleetway since stopped releasing issues. So I got in contact with my relatives in Canada, can you get me this one Sonic issue for me, please? But of course I never got a response back from it, so it's okay, so I'm not going to get them. But when I was still in secondary school, and I was drawing all these Sonic pictures and such in a comic, and a friend of mine said you do know that there's a comic book store in Colchester that sells American comics? And my response was almost in Wayne's World, where I was responded with I was not aware of that. But during my work experience, whilst working in Colchester, I went to the high street, and I eventually found the comic book store that was called Ace Comics. And sure enough, in a corner section of the store. They had like the Sonic comics, and the first issue I picked up was the Metal Madness special. But then I eventually also picked up issue 116, and since then I've been collecting all the Archie issues since, until they eventually finished with 290, I assume.
Yeah, 290 was the last issue in the main series. Yeah.
Alrighty, nice. Yeah, history was made. Yeah, Luke, what's your? You ever run into them?
Alright, I didn't really was aware of or grew up with Archie Sonic in the 90s. The only Sonic comic I ever heard of was Sonic the Comic. I mean, I didn't go into like any comic book stores or anything. Then I think my earliest memory of Archie Sonic was back in 2003 when I picked up Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube. There's a section with comics, and this is where I was aware about there's this whole new comic series about Sonic based in the world of Sonic Sat AM, and like I remember being so amazed with all these covers and how epic they looked, and I had a thought to myself, I mean, I might check out these comics myself, because not all of them, most of them it's just the covers. I mean, only a very few of them have like actual stories in them. There was a comic book store in Southend called Into the Void, which is near the shopping centre we have called the Victoria.
Yeah.
I remember looking around there, and I think I wasn't looking in the right places, because I thought, I had trouble finding them, and I didn't think of asking the shop owner, so I thought, I'll leave it. Then years later, I remember it's like passing the comic book store, and I saw that it had posters promoting the issues of Sonic. It's like, they do have the Sonic comics in there. So I can't really remember the exact first issue I picked up. I think the earliest one might have been the one where Antoine was marrying Sally, and I remember being really confused about that. But it turns out it's not actually Antoine, but his evil twin. And I was like, okay. And then there was another issue. I think it was... I remember the cover. One side had Shadow, and another side either had Silver or Sonic. So it's a bit hard to what that arc was, but I think it involved Metal Sonic or something. But I remember there was this really cool character in there, which I thought, wow, he looks really badass, called Sir Connery, which is like this sword-wielding horse with a moustache. And I thought, hey, he's like me, but a horse. Nothing. I am still waiting for you to cover Sir Connery.
Oh yeah, from my Archie Sonic character files. Yeah, but I don't know. That might be a bit tricky, because Sir Connery was a very short-lived character.
Yeah, wasn't he part of a team or something?
He helped out the Freedom Fighters a little bit, and then he died, and that's it.
Oh, well.
He did show up earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, and then there was I think there was I don't think it was the same issue or not, but there was at the very end, Robotnik is like doing something in his lair, and then he walked away, and there's a screen with like this very fat-looking Shadow on there, looking like, ooh, I'm gonna come back and have my revenge, which is implied to be classic Archie Robotnik. So it's roughly around there that I can remember. I didn't buy a lot of the Archie Sonic comics because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, because I didn't have much of a job back then, and I was mostly collecting Star Wars comics. Then in the late 90s, I started collecting Sonic Archives, which collected all the very early Archie Sonic comics, and that's how I started to take an interest. And I remember being taken aback by its tone, because I remember at the very beginning how it was all colourful and funny and silly, and then over the time you get to see it become darker and grittier and a lot more serious. And I think I was a bit annoyed, like every time a character says something or references something, you often keep seeing a little text box saying, see this issue, see this issue, see this issue, see this issue.
Yeah, that's a very common thing in Archie Sonic, where they add these little footnotes, like they reference something, see this certain issue, blah, 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 blah. And then later on, they kind of drop the specific numbers and just reference the graphic novels instead.
Yeah, and also in the back comic with the letters, like sometimes the letters are usually the same. Like, hi, I'm this character's #1 fan. I have a million questions. Will this character be in the future issue of Archie? Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes the answer will go, the writer will go like, yeah. And often say, oh, don't forget to read these issues. Plug, 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 plug.
Yeah, all the sonograms, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I didn't really get into Archie Sonic until like about 10 years ago with the Genesis arc, I think. Which is based on which is like their adaptation of like Sonic 1, where they met the Freedom Fighters, and I thought, oh, this looks pretty fun, yeah. I didn't read the Iron Legion arc, but I think afterwards I started reading it on a regular basis. That and with the reboot universe and that. And also, I did pick up issues of Sonic Universe as well, which I thought was quite interesting. I think I stopped reading roughly around the Sonic the Fighters arc, which is very much near its end. So
close.
I think that's what I most remember about Archie Sonic at the time.
Yeah, it's quite a lengthy history there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our intro is going very long, so I guess I'm going to skip mine. I think I said my history with Archie in one of my Q&As anyway, didn't I? Looking at
yeah, in some of your videos, you said you had like little to no experience with Archie Sonic, most because they were not really into American comics or something like that.
They never released here either.
Because I think I remember visiting your place, and I did remember you at least had one sort of like graphic novel version of one of the universe stories of being about Silver.
Yeah, I've had one collection. No, not Silver. It was very early. I think it's the first one where Fiona Fox appeared in. I bought that one in England, but yeah, it's never for sold in the Netherlands. But yeah, I'm not going. I think we had enough history now. Shall we just go into the first issue, or at least issue 0?
Yeah.
The premiere.
Yes, issue 0.
Who wants to do the synopsis?
Maybe
I
man should.
Yeah, I guess I might as well.
You got to do the synopsis of all of them. You're the expert.
Let's see. All right, so we got issue 0, where it all began. So we have one of 2 stories. We had the first one that's Don't Cry for Me, Mobius. So sort of as a typical day for Sonic and Robotnik. You know, Robotnik's chasing after that pesky hedgehog, and Sonic manages to avoid his Mega Mac along with Caterkiller, and decides to head back to the secret hideout at Knothole, where we get our introductions to Tails and Boomer, later known as Rotor, Sally Acorn, and Antoine, in which they find like, oh, there's like trouble, our base is being flooded, could this be Robotnik's doing? So they decide to go up to the surface and see what's going on, while meanwhile Robotnik notices them on their radar, and it's like, I have a new plan to try and capture them. And the Freedom Fighters find the source of the problem, where it's the weeping willows that are literally weeping because Robotnik has bulldozed a good chunk of the Great Forest, so they're constantly crying. So like, oh, we're gonna help them, but then Robotnik's like, oh, no, you don't, you pesky hedgehog! So he chases after the Freedom Fighters at first, and then Sonic's like, yo, Robotnik, I'm the one you want. So it's like, okay, fine. So it chases after them, which then Sonic heads off into the well, where he keeps his magic rings that his uncle created. And so he pulls out one of them to defeat Robotnik's wrecking ball. And Robotnik's like, oh, curse you, Hedgehog, I'll get you next time. And after that, Sonic and the Freedom Fighters decide, all right, we're going to plant some new saplings so that the trees can stop crying, and that'll help. And Boomer's like, oh, plant saplings? I thought you meant plant a sap. And we see poor Antoine planted in the ground. Because, you know, he's a sap. Hoo-hoo. And that's the end of story 1. Yeah.
It's kind of typical how the guy called Boomer makes dad jokes. How fitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's very befitting of the earlier comics. They were very focused on being like Wile E. Coyote kind of humor with a lot of puns. And yeah, you see how like where it is, and
yeah, it's basically Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, but more punny.
Yeah, but still with a lot of elements of CTM, which makes it very weird. Especially notices how small the scale is at this point. Like Freedom, the Knothole is just a cave in this one, rather than the whole forest village we later get.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that Sally's the only one with an early design. Like everyone else looks very finalized, exactly how they look in CTM. Like
yeah,
Rotor and Antoine already look perfect, but only Sally is.
It is kind of jarring to see Robotnik with normal-looking eyes, way before Jim Carrey Robotnik in the Sonic movies.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. Like, I did try to hunt down like the original prints because I'm more familiar with the graphic novel version where they actually fix the eyes. So Robotnik has the black eyes and red pupils, but yeah, the original prints for some reason he had normal-looking eyes.
And figured out the details yet. But man, there's so many elements that keep coming back, like Mega Muck, like that showed up
Yeah.
as CTM in Sonic Fleetway as well. So I have to assume there was some sort of Sonic Bible where all these elements were already laid out in. Because I can't imagine it's a coincidence that all those elements keep coming back in every incarnation of Sonic at the time.
Yeah, very early, like, American Sonic Bible, yeah.
Oh dear. I don't know why. I'm just having a bit of a chuckle at like of how Robotnik looks in the top panel.
Because he's orgasm or something.
Pretty much.
Oh!
It's kind of
I've
fitting
been
with
waiting for this moment.
kind of fitting with the voice he had as Sonic CTM. With the, he's
Yeah.
always sounding like he has an orgasm.
Oh yeah, and he's cranking it too.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been waiting for this moment.
Oh, snivelly, yes.
No, I think this just reveals, like, nah, Robotnik doesn't have the hots for Sonic. He has the hots for Caterkiller.
Exactly. Oh, cool, blimey! You messed me again, Governor.
Well, someone in the chat, Rhino,
Right,
says
children.
that Mega Muck comes from the Sonic 2 manual, apparently. Although that doesn't have to mean anything. I mean, I remember they put Sally Acorn's name in Sonic CD's manual as well, so maybe this is Sega of America kind of forcing their references into the games that way.
Yeah.
Must be, yeah.
We don't know.
Another thing I found interesting is that they don't seem to have made Antoine French in this because he's not speaking with the French afflictions. So you probably could imagine him having like some kind of stuffy British accent or something.
Yeah, they hadn't quite finalized Antoine having a French accent just yet, yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. Although Robotnik's way of talking does sound very close to how he sounds in CTM. So I do constantly imagine Jim Cummings' voice coming out of him.
Yeah, and of course there's definitely a lot of moments where the Robotniks go like, "Egad" and "Gadzooks," and that was kind of his catchphrases back then, the very early Archie.
Okay.
But yeah, it's quite interesting seeing Sally with not quite a finalized coloring. So it's like, yeah, it's her with reddish fur and blonde hair, which is really jarring when compared to how she normally looks.
Especially since it's the only one with those hyper colors. Like everyone else was very muted colors. Because yeah, Sonic is blue and Rotor is purple, but not like bright purple and bright blue. Well, C is like bright red.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense they changed that later.
Yeah, I remember seeing in like reprints of this comic, like in new versions, they changed her color scheme, and that's where the whole multiple Sally skin thing came from.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there was they did a Sonic Super Special where they reprinted some of the older issues, and this story was one of them. And they decided to update the coloring, so like in that version, Sally has her like finalized colors. They changed Boomer to Rotor, and so yeah, and of course fixed Robotnik's eyes.
Yeah, but of course, when you read that when you're like a little kid and you see that cover and you see Free Sallys, I'm just like, what? Did I miss something?
Oh yeah, the graphic novel covers, yeah.
Does he have a
But
three
yeah.
three sisters or two sisters?
Well,
Sally,
like,
Sully, and Silly.
well,
Yeah.
funny enough, like the whole coloring change, that was just kind of like a simple retcon. You're like, oh, Sally's always been brown. But then for some reason in a Knuckles comic, like much later, they actually tried to explain the whole color thing, where it's just,
that one.
oh, Sally fell into like a chemical van on a mission, and it took her ages to get all the chemicals out of her fur. And so that was kind of their weird way of explaining why Sally went through those color changes.
I remember that.
In a vat of chemicals? Now I'm thinking of like a Joker parody of Batman as he turns into the Joker.
And I guess to briefly mention like why Rotor was called Boomer in the very early days, because yeah, there is a bit of an explanation to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so this was Sonic Stadium was still in production, and the story I've heard was that originally this character was going to be named Boomer, and the reason for that was mostly because of a joke, like despite like the name sounding boom kind of thing, but in reality, like, he had this very high, squeaky voice. But then in the final product, they got the first actor to do Rotor, who had like a much more deeper voice. And then they're like, well, crap, the joke's not gonna work. So like, okay, fine, we'll change it to Rotor. So then didn't quite make it into the comics just yet. In the original miniseries and very early issues, he was still called Boomer, but eventually they changed it to Rotor.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that, because like the second voice actor for Rotor in Sonic SatM was Cam Brainard, and he did have a really high, squeaky voice for Rotor.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I remember, like, the first time I heard that when I was watching Season 2 of Sonic SatM, I'm like, oh, wait, isn't that the Disney Channel guy? And then it's like, oh, yeah, it's the guy that used to do those Disney Channel bumpers.
It is. It's funny to me, because, like, you always think of him as the Disney Channel guy, and he is. He is the Disney Channel guy, and I always think of him as the narrator for Maximum Exposure, which was a show I loved as a kid.
That's neat. But yeah, always fun when you recognize voices like that. Okay, yeah, I finally got the shot of Sally falling into a chemical vat and not turning into the Joker. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, the explanation of how Sally went through all those color changes.
And turned into a Harley Quinn. Hooray!
We're going with the Suicide Squad explanation.
Yep.
Good thing he didn't go through the Toxic Crusaders route.
Yeah.
Sure, turn it into a Roger Corman movie. Why not?
I was referring to the cartoon, of course,
Yeah,
with
the
all
old
these like
cartoon.
mutants coming together to save the environment, that sort of thing. One of my favourite cartoons.
Alright, cool. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I'll save the environment. Sally just becomes a walking radiation hazard.
Radiation Woman.
There you go. Superhero. Well, she's an American comic, so why not? Alright, shall we move on to the next story?
Yeah, next story. So that's so it's story 2 of issue 0, which is Oh No Robo No Mo Mobo. Trying to say that 5 times fast. But anyway, it's a quick little origin story of like how this all started. So we see Sonic along with his Uncle Chuck and Mutsky, who are holding a chili dog stand. So, you know, they're having a good time. Chuck gets a phone call like, oh, someone's ordered 200 chili dogs. Hooray, we're rich. So they get the order ready, and Sonic speeds off to deliver. But unbeknownst to them, Robotnik has decided to take over the planet, and poor Uncle Chuck and Mutsky are the first to be captured by Robotnik SWAT bots. And meanwhile, Sonic delivers the chili dogs off to one of Robotnik's factories, which he doesn't quite know yet. But then he's like, oh yeah, here's the order. All right, I'll get you the money. And then he almost gets crushed by the wrecking ball. And then it's like, Sonic's like, wait a minute, this was a trap. I better get back to Uncle Chuck. So he rushes back and witnesses the SWAT bots tearing down the old chili dog stand. So he's like, oh, curse you SWAT bots. I'm going to go find Uncle Chuck. And while he's looking at the factories, he comes across Sally Acorn, which was, at the time, the first time they had met. And so they try to hatch a plan like, all right, we're going to try and go into Robotropolis and save Uncle Chug and save Sally's father, the king, who's been captured. So they go there and they see a bunch of Mobians who are quote-unquote roboticized. So Sonic's like, no, Chuck, don't flinch to the Robotnik. And Robotnik's like, oh, Speedy, it's you, Hedgehog. The princess, haha, I'll turn you all into robots. And then Sonic's like, oh, no, you don't. So he uses supersonic speed to create a tornado that sends all of the SWAT bots all over the place. And while that's going on, Sonic and Sally escape, in which Sally instructs Sonic to go into the Great Forest to introduce him to the Freedom Fighters, the group that are gonna work together to defeat Robotnik and free all of Mobius. And that's how the story ends for the first time that they did an origin story.
Yet again, it's so shocking to see how the small scale it is. Like, I remember Sonic ATM where you see the whole original town and Robotnik actually being like the general of the army taking over and all that. And then here, just this pathetic little hot dog stand. That's the only glimpse of Sonic's world we even get to see. I know, it's kind of neat to see Mutsky, because I remember in Sonic ATM he was mentioned, but you never really saw him, so I was kind of confused what a Mutsky was.
Well, we only saw the roboticized version of Mutsky, although it did have a small cameo of like a photo that Sonic had of him. But yeah, Muskie wasn't really a character in Sonic SatAM. It was only the pilot episode, and that's it.
Pretty much. So yeah, I guess a leftover from an older version. But yeah, you guys have anything to say? Luke, any thoughts?
I find it interesting at the end. Sonic is like, "Hey, you want to hear more about my backstory? Just send us, write a letter or something. We might reply."
Yeah, that was
anyone got no reply from that.
I'm sure they did, but yeah, that was another common thing in the very early days of Archie Sonic with
Melting Man, are you
all
still
the
there?
fourth wall breaks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, sorry, you kind of disappeared from me. Addy, you have any thoughts on this comic?
You know, I think this was probably the comic that actually introduced me to chili dogs.
Of course. How many of us haven't
The
been
first time I ever tried one was from playing this. I mean, reading this. This is exact issue.
Sure, it does look kind of tasty when you see the whole mountain.
Yeah, I think this actually was the first time like they established. Yeah, one of the earliest examples of establishing. Oh yeah, Sonic's favorite food is chili dogs.
It is kind of neat to make him a delivery boy, and it's kind of smart. Kind of shame they never used
Yes,
it.
you learn about the origins. You learn about the origins of Sonic in that, and it's like, yes, this is the pizza delivery story, and then my life got turned right upside down. I'm like, what? This is how it starts? This is Sonic's origin?
Apparently so. A lot less dramatic than Fleetway, even. Oh well. But it also has this thing that always bothered me in Sonic CTM as well, where here Sonic is trapped and he can rescue Chuck, but he can turn into a tornado and kill all the SWAT bots in one go, and then he still runs away. It's like, you just had your victory right there, buddy. Like, all the enemies are already knocked out. Or you can just grab Robotnik and grab her. The whole thing could have been over right there. That always bothered me in Sonic CTM Season 2 as well, that they're so overpowered, but then yet they still act like they're in danger. It's like, you can't turn into a tornado. Come on.
Gotta keep the show running.
Yeah. So it's kind of pathetic as the first issue, but here's how Robotnik took over, and it looks so small scaled and so pathetic. And Sonic can already turn into a tornado, man. This whole setup is awkward. Do they retcon this later, Melting Man, or is this genuinely the origin for Archie Sonic now?
Yeah, they retconned this whole backstory like much later, where in the main old canon of Archie Sonic, it's much more in line with Sonic SatAM. You know, like, Robotnik started off as a humble servant to King Acorn, and then he overthrew him and took over, and Sonic and the Freedom Fighters, they were young together, then they decided, we must join forces and stop Robotnik. So yeah, that hadn't gotten quite fully established, so this might have been just an early draft that was, I think it was used in a few old Sonic children's books, but yeah, this was the first time until they retconned it in the Archie Sonic universe.
Alright, fair enough, because yeah, so far I do prefer the CTM version for being much more epic in scale.
I'm looking at the little crowd of the hypnotized Mobians, and I think one of them is kind of like a reference to Woody Woodpecker, and behind the pig there seems to be a slight reference to a Koopa Trooper, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't look like a Koopa Troopa, except one that's wearing Sonic shoes. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of chuckling a bit over the whole thing, like that Robotnik's turning them into robots, but yet they're just hypnotized. It's almost just like a low-budget version of a Doctor Who episode. They're all robots.
Yeah,
It's actually
60s
like
Doctor
that episode with the creation of the Cybermen, where they all have these like implants that like hypnotize them before they become cyber converted.
Who. Oh yeah, Mondasian.
Well, I was
Cybermen.
thinking more of the invasion of the androids, I think. Being one.
Not the Mondasian Cybermen. I'm thinking of the alternate universe with Cybers Industries.
Oh yeah, that one. Yep.
Oh yeah, but apparently also this is the story which, of course, gives Sonic his middle name of Maurice.
Oh yeah, this it's funny. There was just this one-off gag in this one issue, but then later in one of the super specials, they decided to make it canon. So yes, in the old continuity of Archie Sonic, his full name is Sonic Maurice Hedgehog.
Oh,
I thought you-
I thought it was that.
Maurice the Speed Hedgehog.
all because of this joke. This caused it all.
Speedy old Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice.
At least that's the extent of the changes they made to Sonic's name.
Could have been much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have
been
been. Yeah, they could have
Ogilvy.
used the. Oh, yeah, could have used the Ogilvy,
Ogilvy.
Ogilvy, but thankfully that was never canon. That was never established in Archie Sonic.
I can
It
never
is.
pronounce that. Oingo boingo?
No one knows how to
Ogilvy.
pronounce it.
What, Ogilvy?
But yeah, so yeah, the name's not really canon, but it is mentioned that Sonic did have a different name at birth, but what it is exactly has always been left as a mystery.
Thank goodness. Weird thought.
And just noticing it with the tornado, one of the SWAT bots is shouting, Auntie M.
Yeah, gotta throw in their references.
Who's Auntie M?
Auntie M.
Of course. Can't have a tornado without, darn it, what's,
You can't have, like, SWAT
Wizard of
bots
Oz,
without a
there we
gag.
Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz restaurants, yeah. Oh, well.
Also, Uncle Chuck mentioned One Nation Under a Toxic Cloud. I'm not exactly sure he's meant to be a reference to. Is that
Well, I think
American
it's-
president?
It's more of a reference to like the American pledge, you know, like pledge allegiance to the da-da-da-da-da, one nation under God invisible, da-da-da.
Oh,
So here it's
okay.
just altered to be more like under a toxic cloud thing.
Wacky
I
stuff.
would make a current day joke about which toxic cloud he could be referring to, but nah.
The one Sally Acorn
Aha.
fell into, of course.
Oh well.
Yeah, wacky, all that old stuff. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Captain, you had any thoughts on this? I barely heard you so far.
Not particularly. I mean, I felt like comics back then were just really short, even though like they're probably the same length, but they're all self-contained, which some people prefer. But it just makes it feel like the story is over really quickly.
That's a good
So-
point, yeah. Although they do manage to cram a lot more story in one book than later books do.
They do, yeah. Like there's two entire separate stories in this one book.
Yeah, that's what the very early days of Archie Sonic was like. A lot of self-contained short stories, usually like 2 to 3 in one issue.
But that was my first thought when I went to the Archie. Like, oh man, there's really a lot in it compared to how little in Fleetway or the later IDW comics have. But yeah, considering it's self-contained, the story does get passed quickly. Hence why this feels so pathetically small-scaled, even though this is supposed to be like a big epic story of Robotnik taking over the world. Oh well. Could be worse.
But I did also like the random ad featuring Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah, some of the extras there. It's kind of weird, like, I had to dig those out, like, on the web to find scans of the originals, because for some reason, the graphic novel copy I have, they removed those short mini-skits.
Huh, okay. Oh well,
But
is
yeah.
it the last time Sonic teams up with the Turtles?
Well, until issue 10, where the TMNT actually make a cameo in one Archie Sonic issue.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, they spend their life stomping Koopas.
Ah, yeah. Which is kind of funny, because around that time, Archie Comics was also making comics based off of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a while, and it's strange that they never did, like, a proper crossover. And what's even more strange is nowadays, IDW owns the license to both franchises, and still no crossover.
Also, 4Kids had a crossover with the Turtles of Sonic and Kirby when they had like a weird fight for the Fox box cartoon thing.
Probably one of the bumpers, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 20-minute bumper. It was a whole episode just recycled footage. It was kind of weird.
And Sonic and Kirby ended up tying, which is kind of hilarious and surprisingly might be canonically accurate,
Okay,
considering they're both casual god slayers.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
I suppose you could consider it the closest thing to a Smash Brothers animation.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
so.
Ooh.
Smash Brothers from the 2000s, yeah.
Smash Bros. Existed since the 90s, so the Nintendo 64 game.
Ah, yeah.
Oh well, I think we're going a little off topic. Let's go to Archie issue 2. We're
Yeah,
gonna
what?
stick with the melting man. Sorry, Euan?
Yeah, it's issue
one.
1.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because we started at 0.
Yeah, it started at 0 and now it's 1. It's weird how the numbering was like in the original miniseries.
Yeah. Just a chuckle seeing, Robotnik's angry face, like.
I'm gonna get you, a rodent.
Would have
I'm
been
going
fun.
to devour you, hedgehog.
It looks very terrifying. Yeah, would have been funny if you see the issue 0 and then there's nothing in it. Well, it's issue 0. So.
It's weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird that you don't see that after. Like, I know IDW did that once with Tangle and Whisper issue 0, but that was just more of a preview for issue 1.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So right, issue 1 of it. So we have Run Sally Run. So starts off with Sonic and Tails, having a good time. And then they run into Sally, and Sally's like, "Oh, hi Sonic." Like, "Hey, you're getting close to like the edge of the Great Forest." I was like, "Yeah, well, piss off." So Sonic's like, "Oh, something's wrong." So they head back to Knothole and bump into Antoine, where they reveal that it's royal proclamation by Sally that she's going to try and make some kind of peaceful negotiations with Robotnik to release her father. And Sonic's like, "Oh no, this is going to be a trap." So they try and stop him, but Sally's like, "Oh, stop it. We're on peaceful negotiations. Buzz Bomber's going to carry me to Robotnik so we can settle this." And Sonic's like, "Yeah, I still don't trust him." And then a cage comes up. It's like, "Oh no, this was a trap after all." And then Sally gets dropped off in one of Robotnik's chimneys. Where it's revealed, like, Robotnik never kept his promise, so off Sally goes into the roboticizer. Oh no! And then Sonic suddenly busts in. It's like, "Yeah, well, my spines can cut through anything, so your cage was no match for me." And then the rest of the Freedom Fighter gangs show up, where Antoine takes Robotnik's gun, and then Sonic quickly demolishes the roboticizer machine. All while Sally's trying to explain what, like, her motivation of doing this. But then it's like, "Oh, don't worry, Sal, we got you." And then they leave Robotropolis, and Sally's still fumed off because it turns out that Rotor, or Boomer, established special cybernetic cameras into her boots, so that the plan was that she was going to be thrown into the roboticizer, so that she would take, like, pictures of schematics and jam the machine so that she wouldn't be roboticized, so that they can get plans of making a de-roboticizer. But of course, Sonic and the gang came in and screwed up the plan. So, as Rotor says, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
But they never tried again. The end.
Not really.
Yet again, it could have ended the series right here. Euan, you wanted to say something?
No, not at the moment.
All right,
I was just going like, yeah, to the whole sort of thing. Try again.
Indeed. Luke,
Also,
Yeah.
there's also a moment where Sally quotes Skeletor saying, "You boob."
Yeah, that was kind of a common
I
line.
boot you, boob.
Yeah, that was a bit of an insult back then in the 90s. Like, "Oh, you boob, you idiot," kind of thing, which I don't think they use that anymore, because, we use that for a different meaning.
Oh, and as Godfrost says, Sally's feet. So for all you food fetishes out there, enjoy that panel.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
She's already completely naked, but you can finally see her feet. If you care about that sort of thing.
Yeah, this was before she was given the vest. She was just kind of stuck with the boots, and that's it.
Oh well, just like Sonic.
Kind of reminds me of that joke from Amazing World of Gumball, where Darwin takes off his shoes and his feet are censored because taking off his shoes technically means he's naked.
Yeah.
I think a joke is made by Donald Duck as well, where Donald Duck has swim trousers when he starts swimming and they lose it and he's embarrassed, even though normally he never wears pants at all. So
Right, yeah.
wonderful logic there. Yeah, I got thrown off. I know you were joking. Now I embarrassed him.
Well-
Sorry, buddy.
So this plan that they had is this plan that they have kind of is brilliant. So why didn't they just do it again? Because it's not like Robotnik caught on at all.
Well, I think there may have been like one or two instances later on where they did try to do that plan again, just different ways. Like, "Oh, let's have a microchip inside your ear so that you won't get it roboticized." But yeah, like usually that kind of stuff didn't work. But yeah, only a few times they tried those kind of schematics.
Oh well.
okay, we don't have a microchip, but this spray should help. This spray will protect you from roboticization.
And also, apparently, the roboticizer was assembled in Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess they sent the parts off as outer space to a different planet then.
Those corny gags back then, yeah.
So basically, it was cheaper for Robotnik to create the parts needed, but then have it delivered to Mexico to be assembled, only for it to be shipped back just to be installed.
I like to imagine that Robotnik has connections with a Mexican cartel who assembled it for him.
Yeah, Mexican banditos.
Well, let's hope he pays them, or else there'll be a revolution.
Ooh, my. Maybe Robotnik himself is part of is the leader of the cartels in Mexico. Oh.
Yeah, Doc Spring works for him.
Speaking of Robotnik, we can also see in the issue the artwork is a little more closer to his finalized eyes. The only difference is that he has white pupils instead of red, which of course the graphic novels fix that.
Fair enough. Yeah, and of course Sally has her second outfit now black hair.
Yeah, when she was brunette, so it's a little more closer to her design from like the pilot episode of Sadiam.
Yeah, looks a little better. I kind of find it funny how when Sonic is trapped in the jail, they don't even show how he escapes. Just cut right to him already being escaped. Even though, like, Fleetway, this kind of trap also appears, but they always show him escaping. I guess.
Also, Tails can get out of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Antoine can get all the way out of the jail cell. Yeah.
Yeah, because I assume there's no roof on that bar. They just like spring up and that's it.
Yeah, but even then, you see Tails and Antoine pull their entire hats through the bars, so what's stopping them from just walking out anyway?
Cartoon logic, yeah.
And maybe they ended up cutting that part out, like, by Sonic's request because of how wide the bars were. They were like, oh no, how are we going to get out? And then they realised, oh, wait a minute. Step out. Okay, let's cut that bit out. I'll say that I just cut all the bars with my spin attack. Agreed? Okay, Sonic.
I'm surprised Antoine would agree with that. He would love to just embarrass him. Like, no, I came up with the idea.
No, he'll probably use that as blackmail later on.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm kind of surprised how on model everything looks. Like, the art style is really, really good and smooth. Compared to Fleetway, that's a lot more all over the place. Although the coloring is way better in Fleetway. This is much more boring coloring, but the art style is very on model.
This is drawn by Scott Shaw, who did some of the very early Archie comics. So it's a lot more in tune with, like, the Adventures style or Sadiam-ish. Yeah.
You want to say something, Euan?
I'm just noticing in a few panels Sonic's got blue arms.
Oh, yeah. That was, like, the most common mistake back then. It's like, oh, they color his arms blue accidentally, which, of course, was later fixed in graphic novel reprints.
And Sonic Boom and Sonic the Movie were like, we're not making that mistake again. We just make it blue.
Yeah, before Sonic Movie and before Sonic Boom, there was Archie Sonic's very early days of coloring errors.
And also, even though it looks like he's got multiple pupils because his eyes are spinning, it makes him look like some kind of eldritch being.
It looks very terrifying, like he's an insect.
Yeah.
In the panel where he's holding the Royal Proclamation, he has a tan arm and a blue arm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's even better.
Yeah, because I'm certain at least with Fleetway, if they realise they made a mistake, they'll just keep in tone with the mistake for that page until they quietly try and change it without anyone noticing. Because it's happened before.
Oh, I didn't notice blue arms showing up in Fleetway so far.
Oh, yeah, it's happened a few times.
Yeah, because I think I mentioned that one time when Sonic had blue arms, and you're like, oh my god, I cannot see it.
Well, this was the golden age of comic book creating, so maybe they just decided, some mistakes are best left in, save on editing, save on reprinting.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta reach those deadlines, yeah.
Ain't easy.
Sweet cash.
But a problem I do have with this story is, like, I've mentioned before that, like, one of my least favorite tropes is a situation that could have been avoided if people had just communicated better.
Yep.
There was no reason that Sonic, Tails, and Antoine shouldn't have been let in on this plan, because it just ruined it.
Yeah, this is a trope I probably have seen where, like, oh, this person's in distress, and the person rescues him, and the person calls him and says, no, I'm supposed, don't rescue me. It's supposed to happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that annoying trope.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly, yeah. They could have made it work if robots were close and Sully had to keep it secret before Robotnik knew. but that wasn't really clear because he already met her way before she met up with the robots. So now Sally's just a stupid, annoying bitch, and still the others get blamed for it, even though she's the one who didn't talk. Oh well.
Sally, you dumb. Never mind.
Oh well. And of course, she's always the one who needs to be correct by the end of it. Well, shall we move on to the next one? Something fishy, without Big the Cat, sadly.
Yeah, this was years before Big the Cat was a thing, so it was just Sonic fishing. So, right,
No one tell Aaron Weber.
I just want to point out quickly the 2-page poster, which is the good, the bag, and the Mutski, with Bunny Rabbit having a similar color scheme to Rouge the Bat, and Robotnik having a really creepy facial expression with the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have that one. But did Bunny Rabbit already appear here? Because I haven't seen her so far.
No, she doesn't show up in the original miniseries.
Where's the poster from then?
I just posted in the chat there.
Oh, sorry, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I mean, but I just kind of find it a bit caught off guard at one moment because, like, with Mutski's tail like wagging a lot, and it's in front of like Rota, which makes me assume that it's Rota that's like really rushing his legs, like he's charging towards him with a "let me out" mentality.
Oh yeah, it does.
Like he's Scrappy-Doo or something. That's no good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Antoine does look badass with that strut. Man, they really didn't make him the cowardly idiot he is later on, yeah.
Yeah, he's strutting like a boss.
Yeah, Antoine's pretty cool here. But yet again, Robotnik with eyes. When is this drawn then? Because it does have Bunny Rabbit, but it is the old Robotnik again, so I'm really confused now.
Inconsistencies.
Exactly.
It's all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. This is like the only time you see Bunny Rabbit in the original miniseries, and it's just this poster. And even then, they were still trying to finalize her colors,
As well as, what parts of her were roboticized.
Yeah, because like her chest area is completely roboticized, so it's just her head and arm that's organic.
And she has a grappling hook now, which I don't remember her having later. But yeah, what's with all the girls that not having their colors yet? All the guys are immediately correct. Except for Robotnik, I guess. And
I don't know.
Slutbots.
Sexism at its finest.
Yeah,
I guess.
White eyes for the SWAT bots, like, it's dead inside. It's like, I'm already dead. Because it's Sonic.
Hey. But yeah, so that was the one cameo we get from Bunny Rabbit. Well.
Sad violin playing.
Indeed.
Yeah, it would take her a while to get more properly established. Like, she first showed up in issue 3 of the main series, and then she was just kind of on and off again in the stories, but eventually she became a staple.
Yeah.
Sonic CTM also barely used her, and that always annoyed me. She was one of the coolest characters.
Yeah, of course, the only difference is that Archie Sonic actually uses Bunny Rabbit and gives her an explanation on how she got roboticized.
Yeah, the cartoon kind of got that. I'm also kind of shocked how much Rotor gets to do, because he also barely gets anything to do in the show. Though at least he got one episode, which is more than Bunny ever got.
Yeah.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Back to Sonic Fishing, the more exciting thing of the whole saga.
Yes. Right, so Sonic's just chilling out, going fishing, and then it's like, oh wow, I caught a big one! And then it turns out, oh no, it's Jaws, one of Robotnik's badniks! So the robot starts chewing away at the pier, which Sonic falls into the water, and decides like, oh, not so fast, motorized Moby Dick! So he chases after the bot, and then gets caught up in a net. It's like, I tricked you, Sonic, now prepare yourself, as you shall be one of the many subjects of my waterproof robot maker, wahaha! And meanwhile, Rotor and Tails are off going to meet Sonic for fishing. And they're like, oh, hey, the pier's gone. What happened? And Rotor's like, oh, hang on, little buddy. And then he pulls out this machine, the Bathysphere, which is a big submarine. It's like, all right, we're going to go into... Yeah, the Bathysphere, yeah. And that's what I call a subplot. so Sonic's getting dragged into the waterproof robot maker, but then Sonic uses his spin dash to break out, but that drains all of his oxygen, so now he starts to drown, and the robot's like, "Oh, not feeling well, Sonic? Here, let me examine you, up close." And then Rotor's like, "Oh, back off, Ball Brain," and shoots the robot. And with one of his missiles, which caused a trail of bubbles, which thankfully was able to get Sonic to breathe again. So once he gets his oxygen back, he then destroys the robot maker. Jaws runs away to try and tell Robotnik. And everyone's like, "Yay, we saved the day, time for lunch." It's like, "Yeah, let's do chili dogs. I've suddenly lost my taste for seafood."
Everyone should be called Boomer.
Get used to it. It's gonna be a while until we get out of the that kind of phase.
Captain, you wanted to say something?
I mean, yeah, but
Oh,
I
sorry.
do like how Sonic is fully capable of talking without oxygen.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can't breathe, but can have a whole conversation, yeah. But don't you just love a whole plot that's about the robots of Robotnik knowing that Sonic would be so angry that he lost fishing that he would just dive into the bottom of the ocean just to get his fish? It's like they just counted on it. It's like, oh, I have to jump in the water to get my fish. I'm so angry.
I do like the little reference to the labyrinth zone in Sonic 1 with him going down the slopes.
Yeah, that was kind of neat.
Yep.
And we also already have Tails in a submarine. What is it with Tails and always having submarines? Maybe also in the Sonic Bible. Tails has to have a submarine.
Well, he sure loves those subplots.
Oh, well.
Yeah. And not much happens here. Just Sonic going on an underwater adventure. Then we get the bathysphere, and it's like, oh, so it's kind of like Tails and Rotor are the ones that save the day, technically.
Kind of funny that Robotnik ink pipe that puts all the sludge in the water. It looks like a Koopa, like Bowser or something.
Oh yeah, mutated face.
Luke, you have any thoughts on this comic?
I just thought it's a nice, simple story of Sonic going underwater to fight a robot fish, almost drowning without falling through the floor, and yeah, it's not too bad. Pretty good.
Agreed. Sonic drowning is always a good story. Too
So
bad
you
we
can
don't see-
imagine the music playing as he's just lying there. It goes diddle, 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 diddle.
It's a shame they didn't draw numbers above his head, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, the drowning themes, yeah. Speaking of which, yeah, the whole drowning theme in Sonic Frontiers, as you guys pointed out, yeah, it's in the last stream, which I later listened to the soundtrack, and it's really weird for that drowning theme in Frontiers. They just recycled the Sonic Colors version, which sounds really out of place compared to the rest of the soundtrack.
Oh well. Barely anyone will hear it anyway, since you barely spend any time in the water. Only in the desert I fell in the pond. Ironic!
Yeah.
Only in the desert I get in the water. Oh well. So, the next issue. I wanted to say 3, but it's 2 because Archie's stupid in naming.
Yeah, it's issue 2. So yeah, this is the first time we get a big story arc. So it's a crowning achievement. So Sally calls on Sonic to oh, here, catch this chest. Oh, this is a special crown left behind by my father that has the special freedom emeralds, and with their power we can try and utilize it to try and stop Robotnik. And so they're like, oh, that's cool. It's been guarded well with Antoine and his soldiers. But then it turns out, oh no, the chest is empty. So they decided, oh, there must be a spy amongst us. So apparently Sonic manages to run fast to burn the rubber off his sneakers, which causes the sprinkler system to go off. And it turns out, yep, one of the soldiers is a robot spy. But he's like,
This guard is pretty sus.
Yeah.
I had to, sorry.
Yeah. So then the soldier is like, you're too late, freedom fighters. Robotnik has scattered the emeralds on 4 corners of Mobius, and you won't be able to stop him. And is about to self-destruct, and Sonic grabs him, rushes out. It's like, oh no, Sonic's dead. But then Sonic's like, nope, I'm not dead yet. So they decided, okay, so the emeralds are hidden in the air, land, underground, and sea. So they notice Robotnik's blimp flying by. It's like, that must be where the emerald is. So Sonic and Antoine are forced to team up by using a hot air balloon to get up there, which of course is powered up by Antoine because you know how Antoine can be full of hot air. Hoo-hoo! So right, they go up to the blimp, but then they get attacked. But Sonic's managed to pretty much bop on the robots to make a bridge up to the blimp and destroy it. It's like, we managed to get the first emerald. And then they get some clues by the SWAT bots, like, okay, now we know where it is. The others are. So Sonic goes off while Antoine delivers the emerald. So next, Sonic goes to the sea, which Tails is like, oh, hey, Sonic. And then he gets tangled up in the whole mess where his fishing lure gets caught on Sonic's shoes, so they both go underwater. Which, once again, they get attacked by Jaws. They manage to swim into the underwater cave and find the other emerald. And it's like, yeah, we got the second one, but oh no, here comes Jaws, who then swims after them, and nope, turns out it was just the old drawing of them on a wall. Hoo-hoo! Because apparently Tails always carries a waterproof water marker with him.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, pretty much. So next, Sonic goes after the one on land, which the SWAT bot has. So he's trying to make a run for it, but then glitches like, I got the third one. But then it turns out, no, fooled you, Sonic, and he falls into a pit where he gets attacked by Barrowbot, who has the other emerald. So after running around and digging, Sonic's like, all right, screw you, robot, I'm taking those emeralds. But then it's like, all right, now I just gotta get out of here. It's where do I go? Like, oh, up, that's it. So he uses his spin dash to drill upwards, and he manages to get back into the freedom fighters. Like, here are the last remaining emeralds. All right, we have the crown completed. Yeah, now we can try and use its magic to stop Robotnik. Hooray! And it would end there, but then Robotnik shows up in this big angry rant where he complains that he only had one lousy cameo in the entire story.
Man, it's really 4Kids style Sonic X 4 fall breaking. Jeez. Oh well. But yeah, so one big adventure instead of a lot of small ones.
Yep.
Euan, you have something to say? How wonderful it is that every single time they say Sonic's name is in this annoying logo. I guess now I understand why Sonic Boom made that joke all the time.
Yeah, that was a common thing in Archie Sonic back then, which I think they stopped at around issue 50 or something. But yeah, that was just a common gimmick back then.
I'm guessing the Freedom Emeralds are like their version of the Chaos Emeralds.
Must be.
Yeah, I guess.
But they're giving it to Sally, so now Sally should turn super. Super Sally.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god,
I don't think they ever used it in the end.
Yeah, they never really used the crowns. Mostly because, not using the powers, but also the whole backstory of the Crown of Acorns would be completely retconned in the main series.
As per usual.
Of course. Yeah, it's not
If this turns out to be a crown for Burger King.
She's the Burger Queen.
Yeah, she has all
literally
the.
Just the.
Yeah, she
That's
basically
literally
has
just the plot
all,
of the first episode of the Owl House.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, once she has all the Freedom Emeralds on the crown, she basically becomes the Burger King man. And basically goes around giving everyone a free burger.
Yeah, giving them all Whoppers.
And it comes with a toy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, magical staff thingy.
Magical hamburgers that make you lose weight instead of gain it. Give me some.
Yeah, veggie burgers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Antoine in the background just like, how is this supposed to help us stop Robotnik?
I don't know.
At least you can fight better than with an empty stomach, I guess. Man, it's so weird to come after Fleetway to Archie as Sonic is not an asshole all the time. Like, I'm constantly expecting him to, hey, Pixel Brain! to Tails, but no, he's actually nice to Tails. It's so weird almost.
Yeah, Archie Sonic's much nicer to Tails here, yeah.
Yeah, I've never really read Fleetaway, but apparently Sonic is like a really big dick in it or something. Is that true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In Fleetway, yeah.
They basically took the whole quote of the hedgehog with attitude quite literally.
Okay, so you're trading that into just dad jokes and puns and Wile E. Coyote
He's
stuff.
a big dick. Oh, I thought you meant like Sonic has that. I thought I don't remember him having that. What?
Insulting
that's
Tails.
the Sonic XXX.
Yeah, Sonic Triple X.
Find it on
Okay.
find it on
Yeah,
DVD.
Sonic was a massive douchebag in the comics.
Absolutely. Okay, is Sylvia to send this picture? Like it was this photo finish? That
that's
Rotor
one of the-
looks all purple, like he's Spyro the Dragon or something.
Oh yeah, one of the mini stories, yeah, where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take a group photo." It's like, "All right, Sonic, you forgot to set the timer." "Oh, don't worry, I'm fast enough to make it in there." And so they get the group photo, and for some reason, Rotor's muzzle is all colored purple.
But the big question is, who looks the most adorable, Sally or Tails? Tails looks like he's having a shock effect or something.
I don't know, I mean, Sally looks a bit cute in that pose, yeah.
Ronald McDonald must have heard the rumors about the new Burger Queen, so he sent in his pal Grimace.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sally's just all
Like
like, "Oh,
that spy mission.
yeah." Sonic's doing the whole like, "Yeah," and Antoine's doing his salute pose, and Sally's giving the
Napoleon.
big anime eyes, yeah.
and Tails is derpy.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, and Rotor became the purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Uh-oh. Look out, guys. Gonna die horribly.
Yeah, these are the real Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics.
That purple guy looked like that while he was killing all those children with that face expression. It's like complete satisfaction like that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Is that Tails' picture a meme? Oh. I thought we discovered it. Oh.
I don't know. I don't think I haven't seen that particular panel be a meme. I've seen other Tales panels become a meme, but yeah, not this one.
What a tragedy. That's our duty now, I guess. You would make a meme now.
Must I?
No.
Oh.
You must be sad you lost the fight on Twitter just now.
Mm. Yeah.
For context.
Oh, yeah.
What?
No, I was just like remembering reading that comic of where the SWAT bot's basically talking to Robotnik, and the cartoonist felt like that they needed to basically say what features that his wrist communicator has, being like, it's a Game Gear as well. It's also an Easy Bake Oven.
Oh yeah, the weird gauntlet thing that looks like a knockoff Power Glove.
Yeah. But it's based, I don't know, it just reminds me of like a little kid describing like, you know, what it's capable of doing. It's like, oh, I can do all this, I can do all that, and even give me rainbow unicorns. Sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it's a two-way wrist TV, VCR, AM, FM cassette, Sega Game Gear, CD player, toaster oven. Yeah.
Pez dispenser.
Pez dispenser. Yeah, shoot out of his fingers, he shoots Pez.
But better to die, Hedgehog, with the power of Pez.
Pew 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 pew.
I think one bit that I really liked was when the pig guy was caught out and suddenly he went all purple and evil and he went all wacky looking.
When I killed your brother, I looked just like this!
Shame he never actually said that.
Oh yeah.
Missed opportunity.
And a dark moment.
Yeah, I sort of cringed at myself for making an Among Us reference. I deeply apologize for that.
That's alright. We're all boomers,
yeah.
so we didn't get it anyway.
And of course the whole bit where Sally thinks that Sonic's dead. It's like, oh, Sonic is dead. I never told him that I loved it. It's like, oh, you were saying, oh, I meant I love your pumpkin pie. It's like, uh-huh.
Yeah. Almost like in the Bart Simpson sort of like sort of story where he says to Ralph Wiggum, I thought you were dead. And he's like, no.
Nope.
That's kind of like how Sonic is there. It's like Sonic just strolls back in and so he's like, I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm
There
not
actually
dead
an
yet.
Archie comic where Vector was seeing Shadow alive and said, I thought Shadow was dead, but Sonic was like, no, he's alright now, and Everyone's like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, the Sonic X comic, yeah.
Nice. They're used to it. Like, oh, I guess he had an actual life. Oh, well.
Hey ho.
Shall we go to the final issue?
At issue 3.
There you go. Sonic going
Right.
loop to loop. Man, I love the art style of this cover. Looks really nice.
Showing
I was
off
going to
the-
say, I would love to have this as a shirt.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. I'm sure there's
Yeah,
someone
sure.
out there that can like print the cover out and just iron it onto a shirt and sell it. Because I'm pretty sure Archie's not going to give a damn since they don't make them anymore.
Yeah, I like the expressions when Sonic's face goes all crazy because it's like something like that Rob Zombie image, with the green creature driving the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bulging eyes.
G-Force.
Would be funny if someone made a 2D Sonic fan game again with using those sprites when he goes through a loop, including those crazy faces at the end. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I'm sure someone can mod that.
Yeah, just go and show them the picture. It's like, right, see this? Make
this.
all pixel art of Sonic reacting like that, and import it into the game. Then you get.
There you go, Roger. You got your next project.
Oh boy. I guess so. But yeah, the actual story. Mr. Melting Man, go ahead.
Alright, hold on a minute. Yeah, I just had to take a drink there. Right, so it starts off with Sonic being chased by crab meat badniks, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop you all," but then Robotnik's like, "Surprise, bitch!" And uses his wrecking ball to knock the cliff off that he was standing on. Which then he falls, and he's like all knocked out. It's like, "Oh, I wish I could turn back time," and so. He has this like weird dream. So this is where the story starts. Sonic flashback, or what if Sonic and Robotnik were kids together? So Sonic's defeating the crab meats, and Robotnik's like, "Oh, curse you, Sonic! You and your Uncle Chuck!" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember Uncle Chuck." And then it goes into this flashback of showing young Sonic and Robotnik being raised by Uncle Chuck, the creator of the Power Rings. And Sonic's just like, "Oh, Robotnik's being a poopy head. He's making all these robots and doing bad things." So we see a younger Robotnik building these toy robots. So Sonic's like, "Oh, well, screw you, Robbie. I'm gonna go and run." And so Chuck's like, "Oh, don't mind him. He's, I'm sure you'll be good." And then he goes off to his tractor to do some mowing on the farm. And Robotnik's like, maybe I should tell him that I took some pieces out of that. Nah. So he goes on to his whole, like, "All right, robots, I hate hedgehogs, blah, blah, blah." And then the tractor goes all haywire, like, "Oh, no," and then crashes into each other, which leaves poor Chuck and Robotnik mortally wounded. So Sonic's like, "Oh, no, I gotta do something." Like, "Oh, I'll use the power ring. That'll help." So he uses the power to go super fast off to the hospital, and they're all better. But then Robotnik's still pissed and accuses Chuck, like, "Oh, you're the old cool when ran me over." But then the robot speaks up like, "Oh, sorry, the Robotnik took all the parts out." And then Robotnik's like, "Oh, you stupid bucket of bolts." And Chuck's like, "Oh, you bad boy, Robbie. Go to your room." It's like, huh. So Sonic and Chuck are busy making the power rings because apparently it's easy to manufacture them.
Yeah.
But then, oh no, Robotnik uses all the household utilities to build a giant robot. It's like, "I'm not beaten yet, Sonic. I will defeat you all." And then Sonic's like, "Yeah, well, I'll defeat you too." So he pulls out a garden hose and ties it around the robot's legs and falls over and it's gone. And then Robotnik's like, "Yeah, screw you guys, I'm running away." And Sonic's like, "Well, that's the last we'll see of him." And Chuck's like, "Oh, I'm not too sure." And then it's back in reality where it's like, "Man, Robotnik sure was a crabby kid in a dream and a grumpy adult in reality. Which one do you prefer? Neither? Me too. Ho ho." And then it ends.
And apparently you can send in letters where we want to see more imaginary stories. Because
Quick thing to say at the beginning is that of course Robotnik would be very evil and everything after this because an old man just by accident but still ran his tractor into a child.
Yeah.
I just realized that. Yeah, that was like, oh my god, Sonic gets them to the hospital.
Yeah, that's kind of dark, yeah. Runs over a freaking kid.
especially since Chuck never apologized for us or even seems to be aware of it.
Yeah, I just found this story so weird. I mean, it's pretty much that kind of trope where, like, the hero and the villain knew each other when they were kids, they grew up together, that sort of thing. It was like, does every villain and hero and villain that were knew each other as kids?
Well, to be fair, here is a fake story, but yeah, it is kind of pathetic.
Yeah, this is a fake story or supposed thing, but yeah, in the main comics, it would be retcon that Sonic and
Yeah.
Robotnik didn't know each other when they were younger. They had their own lives.
Weirdly enough, there's actually a novelization of this story that
Really?
Yeah.
and it's been a while since I read it, but I don't think it actually ends by saying like, "Oh, it was all a dream." I think it just actually takes itself seriously.
Oh yeah,
Oh, boy.
yeah. It was more of a memory. But yeah, that was I've seen that a few times in some official Sonic children's books where they redid this particular story. Yeah.
Okay, but it's so weird. This is the first time we actually see them make the power rings because they never showed up before, as far as I know. And it looks so pathetic, but it's just a heading with a hammer. What does it look? Sorry.
I'm just saying, I'm hoping we get to see this sort of thing in a future Sonic movie where we get to see how these magical teleportation rings are forged. Like, I imagine there's like some kind of secret forge where all the rings were made.
No, you just
yeah.
hit this piece of metal with a wooden hammer. That's enough, apparently.
Yeah. Or what if they actually have Uncle Chuck in the movies? Like, this is where Sonic finds out he has relatives, apart from Longclaw.
That would be interesting.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm surprised you didn't make any reference to Lords of the Rings.
Well, I like to imagine that there is some kind of master ring that in the movies, all these rings can only be used once. But imagine if there was a ring that has unlimited uses. That could be so you could go anywhere you like with this one ring, wherever in time, maybe throughout time, so you could travel through time and space.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, I was just kind of referring to the fact, like, Uncle Chuck was the one that made the rings in Lord of the Rings.
He made the rings of power.
Yeah.
Well, that would make that Amazon series more entertaining.
One ring to rule them all.
They changed so
Much
much.
later on-
By Uncle Chuck.
Much later on into this series, there's a character called Dr. Finitivus, an echidna character, and he's got like 3 gold power rings on each one of his arms, and he can just whoosh them off his arm, and they'll turn into a teleport thingy, and then they come back onto his arm whenever he wants. So that's like infinity use of the ring right there.
Oh, yeah.
To Shang-Chi's rings, the rings of those kind of rings.
Okay, specifically the MCU version. In the comics, they're actually just rings you can wear on your fingers,
Right.
and each one gives you a specific power.
Right.
But yeah, it's as what you showed up that Dr. Finitivus, that in the old continuity of Archie Sonic, that was the guy who was the inventor of the warp rings, and he's the guy that actually knows how to use them and use them to like full potential, to like use them multiple times, where like as everyone else they can only use them once or try to figure out how it works. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, the echidna scientist, one of my favorite Archie Sonic villains, does that, and of course, Uncle Chuck is the creator of the power rings in the main Archie universe.
Indeed.
Yeah, don't worry about the amazing lore with the echidna. You won't find out about that until later. Until then, you just get an elderly hedgehog using a hammer.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Especially with Finitivus's introduction, he was just random echidna scientist. Then it's Finitivus, and then much later they would like connect. Oh yeah, they're the same character thing.
Crazy stuff. And we already have a story about appliances attacking them. We saw that in Sonic X before. Popular.
Yeah.
Wait, this is the
Also,
most. Yeah.
Just before we move off of this story of the what if, in that novelization I mentioned earlier, they specify that Robotnik is 8 years older than Sonic.
Oh, okay.
So that makes him 23 in current time.
That's still weirdly young, yeah. Oh well, it's not canon anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't think too hard about it.
All a dream.
Yeah. Man, it used to be hard to keep track of what was and wasn't canon.
That's why you have me on the team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, that story is definitely a bit weird because of Sonic falls off a cliff, bangs his head, and he dozes off into a dream, and then he ends up dreaming another dream about how he and Robotnik possibly met before eventually waking up. So it's like a dream within a dream.
Yeah, Inception before Inception.
They stole it from the Sonic comic. I knew Nolan was a big Sonic fan. Oh well. Okay, so we move on to Why Ask Spy? The grand finale of this early Sonic Archie.
Yeah, the last story in the original miniseries. So yeah, why a spy? So Sonic is called in by Sally again. He was like, "Oh, Sonic, you're late." Like, "Oh, I had to stop to get a chili dog." And then turns out, "Oh no, Rotor has been roboticized." And then it turns out, "Oh nope, it's just a fake. He's just wearing a metal clamp jaw and spiral contacts." So it's like, "All right, here's the deal. We're gonna have you, Sonic, as like this roboticized costume and do some planning." So they get him all hooked up with the things. So at first they do this act where Sonic's chasing after Sally, and Tails like, "Oh no, Sonic's been roboticized." And then Sally's like, "Oh, Tails, help me!" And Sonic's like, "Oh, 2 life forms. I was not programmed for this." And then runs away. And Sally's like, "Oh, Tails, you're my hero. You promised not to tell." So Tails like, "Oh, sure." And then of course he tells everyone with the newspaper ads like, "Yeah, Tails is a hero. Sonic's roboticized." And the Buzz Bomber's like, "Yoink." So it takes the newspaper to Robotnik, but then it's like Robotnik's like, "Oh, you fool! I already have the roboticized Sonic. Yes, and now he will tell me the location of Knothole." And Sonic's like, "Oh, jeez!" Now he's in a jam. But then suddenly, oh, the alarm goes off, and Robotnik's like, "Okay, Robot Sonic, go and see what that's all about." So Sonic goes off like, "Oh, it's Sally and Antoine that pulled the alarm just to see how he's doing." Which, of course, results in a comedic gag where his metal jaw flies off and bites one of Antoine's feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sally's like, "Okay, yeah, doing a good job. We'll keep scoping out the area." And Sonic goes into the building, and it turns out, oh no, it's Uncle Chuck. He's there, and he's still "quote unquote" roboticized. So, and then Chuck calls out Mutsky. He's like, "Oh, Mutsky," but then, oh no, he actually has been roboticized. And Sonic's like, "Oh, Robotnik will pay for this." So he returns to Robotnik, and he's like, "All right, no more stalling. Send the bomb coordinates to Knothole now." And Sonic's like, "All right, sure." But then turns out, oh nope, he sent the coordinates to one of his Robotnik's factories, specifically the Buzz Bomber factory. Which, of course, Robotnik finds out, "Oh, I've been had." And Sonic's like, "Yeah, well, that's how it is, Robotnik." And that
is the series finale of this incarnation, I guess.
Yeah, the original miniseries.
But it's so weird. We get the first time they actually visualize the robotization that's in this fake attempt to cheat Robotnik out, even though we haven't seen a normal robotization yet. And then we see Uncle Chuck later that he still looks fake, just like before. But Mutsky actually is legitimately roboticized, so it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's just weird inconsistencies, yeah.
Maybe it was
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
Even stranger
Maybe it was
is
around
like,
that. I was just going to say, maybe it's around that time when the SatAM pilot actually got aired, and they saw what Mutsky looked like. It's like, oh, so that's what the dog looks like. Let's put it in the comic.
So it's kind of weird that like Sonic recognizes that like Chuck has been "quote unquote" roboticized and is like trying to get through to him, but he seems to just trust Mutsky immediately, even though it's visibly a robot.
Yeah. And they say Amy Rose is colorblind.
Give me a big great kiss. Would it be funny if we just bite Sonic's face off right there?
Yeah, and there's a parody idea, yeah.
Yeah. Just like drawing a picture of Sonic with his face all bitten off and we go, "Ah!"
This is the closest we got to Sonic's ATM, even with Sally and Antoine kind of like snooping around in Robotnik's base and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, it still doesn't really look like Robotropolis. It looks so funnily like mundane with all these normal trash cans laying around and all that.
Yeah, Robotropolis was just generic factories and whatnot in the early days, yeah.
Everything is so low scale now. It's so pathetic. I kind of like it. But yeah, I'm glad it became much more at a larger scale later on.
Very much so.
I think this is my favorite story of the bunch. This is the only one that actually does more like clever things with the whole setup and all that. Like Sonic pretending to be a robot. But man, it looks straight out of a Sonic Boom cartoon, especially with Robot Sonic just doing a bunch of mundane bureaucracy jobs for Robotnik. Like that feels so like a Sonic Boom episode. element. Luke, you have any thoughts on this comic?
I do find it a pretty interesting idea of Sonic pretending to be a robot to infiltrate Robotnik and spy on him, and it kind of does have that high stakes feeling to it.
Yep, absolutely.
And in a way, you could see this version of Sonic like a very low budget version of Metal Sonic.
Yeah, or Pseudo Sonic from Adventures of Sonic.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when I was young and enjoying the Halloween season, I never had enough time to make a costume or anything. But if all it takes to be a robot is to have swirly glasses or eyes and stick a big metal bear trap onto your face, then that'd be an easy costume to wear.
That'd be so funny in the next Sonic movie from Paramount to actually show Metal Sonic and it's just regular Sonic with just eyeglasses and a stupid trap in front of him.
Yes.
It's all a reference to this comic.
Yeah. Though it does kind of make you wonder, how the hell is he able to get that bear trap to, stay on his face without, damaging his face? Because otherwise we're going to be reaching Saw territories. The reverse bear trap thing.
That's a good and scary question, yes.
Given how sharp it looks, I wonder how Antoine still has his foot and Robotnik still has his butt.
Oh, yeah. Cartoon logic. They just get comically hurt. They're just like, oh, ow, 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 that kind of thing.
Yep, cartoon logic, of course. Willy Coyote.
Pretty much.
Also, I love Tails selling newspapers in the middle of a forest. Who are your customers there, buddy?
Oh, yeah, Tails just out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
With a little label there saying Vanity Press. Of course, Tails has always been vain. We all knew that.
But yeah, so apparently in this universe, Tails is a journalist. Sorry, Captain, go ahead.
Yeah, and the part of their plan involves Tails somehow leaking this information to Robotnik, so it makes even less sense because they just happened to have one of the papers stolen by a buzz bomber.
And even better, Sally tells Tails to keep a secret, and yet they know Tails is going to leak all the information to Robotnik, so this just goes to show how untrustworthy Tails is in this story. Mm-hmm. It's we know it's Tails constantly leaking information to Robotnik, a little bastard. How many people did he get killed by this already?
And then, of course, when it's Robotnik's oh, you idiot, I already have the Robot Sonic here. And the way Sonic explains it is oh, I fell into one of the Master's robot makers, cleverly disguised as a robot maker.
Yeah. Stupid humor.
So, also, if Sonic was already there by the time the Buzz Bomber got the information to Robotnik, what was the point of Tails leaking the information?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
They just want to test how untrustworthy Tails is still, I guess.
Yeah, still the young, plucky sidekick, yeah.
Poor Tails. Although at least he gets more screen time here than he ever got on Sonic's ATM.
Yeah, that's true. He's a little more active than Archie Sonic, yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like this story. This was the most fun one of all the early Archie comic, the pilot. But it's kind of weird to see Rotor suddenly having his own workshop, because before this they lived in a cave, so I guess the world building is still all over the place at this point.
Yeah. It's up on the ground level instead of being on the ground, yeah.
Yep. Oh well. Guess they still were trying to figure things out.
Yeah, it took Archie Sonic a while to kind of finalize the established lore and the tone, yeah.
Indeed. So, anyone has some final thoughts on these early Archie comic issues?
Well, I do find them rather surreal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Art sells
Just
a lot.
early Adventures of the Hedgehog, can't be fun. Puns, jokes everywhere, not to be taken seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I always describe the very early days of Archie Sonic, which is Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, but with Sadie M characters.
Pretty much. Well, it's not as surreal as that one, but yeah, I see what you mean. Art style really on point, though. I'm surprised how model the characters are. I always expected it to be a lot more loose, like Fleetway. Although Fleetway has way better coloring. I kind of hate the coloring here. I mean, the page I have now, everything is pink and
And like the early issues, the artwork was consistent for the most part, but later on, the art styles became a lot more varied over time.
Then the madness begins. Alrighty. Well, yeah, I'm kind of surprised how close it looks to Sonic CTM in terms of character models, anyway. Alright, so that concludes our look at the first Archie comics. A special just because of the anniversary. We're not going to look at the main Archie for a long time because we need to finish Fleetway first. And we have still a lot of Fleetway to go.
It's gonna be a while until we decide to get back into Archie Sonic.
Sorry, Melting Man, but hey, at least you got a little taste of Archie now.
Yeah.
And at least I find. Yeah, and at least I finally managed to convince you to read Archie Sonic, even if I had to point a gun at your head. Ha 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 ha. You know the this completely water pistol. Yeah, water pistol. Yeah.
We'll get there eventually.
Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you, Roger, for reading this comic. It's awesome to be able to read it with you guys. I forgot how fun it is.
Yep, I hope it is.
Yeah, and it was nice to meet you face to face this time. So I was absent when you were guest starring for the first time.
Yep. So, I guess that ends our stream for today. Does anyone have something to say? Something to plug?
Well, I guess I'll plug in my Archie Sonic retrospective, which I just posted before the stream started. So yeah, if you want more Archie Sonic goodness, then go watch my 20-minute retrospective that I posted, where I talk about my own personal history. Aside from that, I've seen a few clips of the fan-made documentary that Scribble the Screen has been working on, the fan-made documentary dedicated to the lost media content creators, and it's been coming along fine. That's been coming along quite well. He showed me a clip of my segments and many other segments, because there's a lot of people involved in this fan-made documentary.
Alrighty, cool. Yeah, it's a big Archie anniversary, so I'm sure there's some Archie projects going on.
I could plug something if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but I'm on Newgrounds. There's this series I'm part of called Fashion Police by Dexter Gethood. They were just released a new episode, episode 4, called Justice or something, where I'm in it. I voice the scientist attorney, because it's a whodunit story, which involves a lot of audience participation when you work out like who does it and everything. The art style is very surreal, but you can tell a lot of effort has been put into it.
Yeah, I think you talked about it before, but alrighty, we'll plug it. Good old Newgrounds. Man, I still need to put in a lot of my recent movies on there. Fashion Police, yes.
Fashion Police 4.
4, yes, I think I have the picture right here. Is this correct, Luke? Is it not on screen yet? It does have everyone in silhouette looking at a weird medal of a boot.
Yes, that's what it is. The whole thing is a mystery on who stole the medal.
Oh, cool, nice. Phantom Thief kind of story. I love those. Lupin.
And it has like references to Phoenix Wright as well.
Of course. Oh, Mask the Mask or something. That thief. I love that character. Okay, cool. Thanks, Luke. I hope some people are interested. Captain, you have something to say? You have a project running at the moment?
Well, no, but I did get my hands on that Sonic motherboard from AS Rock.
Ah, nice.
Sonic
So
motherboard?
Sylvia shared it in the chat once, so I waited for it to release and found it and bought it and accidentally bought a second one. And I'm gonna build a PC now.
Oh yeah, because I think I remember a picture being shown of like a motherboard for a computer, and it's got Sonic on it. Is that right?
Kind of pointless because you never see your motherboard unless you have a transparent computer tower, I guess.
Unless you just want to say, like, no, it's powered by Sonic. Look, there's a picture of him right on the motherboard. He's powering it.
Well, better be a very fast computer then. Alrighty, cool. So you're gonna build your own PC. That's nice. Oh, never dare.
Yeah, like literally the the last part for it just showed up while we were streaming.
Oh wow. Timing, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Euan, you have anything to plug? Of course, you wanted to plug your Twitter battle, but you already lost, so too late for that.
Yeah, so yeah, tough luck for me.
Aw,
But
poor
nah,
Euan.
nothing. But nothing for me though.
Yeah, Euan joined some Twitter battle where you can send his character in fighting against other characters. People vote who wins, and Euan didn't win. Ah.
Nah,
Yeah, I tried to help out, but the problem was the tweet appeared way too late on my my timeline, and I didn't know it was over.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a shame.
So, as apparently a lot of people felt like Euan was not strong enough to face against a small raccoon with a gigantic hammer, which makes it sound more pathetic when it's said like that.
It's a fix, I say.
Exactly.
Oh, I guess he hammered you down before you could turn into a demon or something.
Yeah, most likely.
You know, in general, you just don't want to mess with small girls with giant hammers.
Nope.
I don't have experience with it, but I feel like you're right, yeah. Alrighty, yeah, for me, I'm working on a new Sonic Robo Blast level that's going to join the level design competition next month. And almost everyone in the stream has a voice cameo in it, so that's... Luke is in it, Sala is in it, Melting Man isn't, sorry.
Neither me.
Why not?
Oh yeah, Euan also isn't in it.
Yeah. Apparently, there's no voice that I can do that can be added.
I
yeah.
could add you as like an NPC character you knock over or something.
What? So basically, I just knocked over. It's like, oi, careful.
Yeah, something like that.
If I could just like a brief cameo in there, just popping out of the trash can you run into. It's like, wow, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete?
Or like an animation of your head popping out from the bin, or literally just the bin
Yeah,
talking
something like that.
with an echoey effect, like, "Oh, look at all the stuff I got in here. Do you want to see?" In a creepy voice.
Yeah. You like popsicles? Get your fat ass back here.
I don't think that was...
Make him a shopkeeper and go, "What are you buying? What are you selling?"
Yeah. Sorry, I can't give credit. Come back when you're a little richer.
Oh boy, that fits like a cameo we put in my levels, yeah. I'll think about it. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I was planning on making a proper Dissected for Sonic Frontiers, where Sala's going to join me. Or Captain's going to join me, sorry.
Yeah, I just kind of.
Captain will still be on regular Dissected, but I think I will be taking over these podcasts from now on.
Oh, so I should redraw you in this stream.
Yeah.
Well,
To civilian
Yeah.
clothing.
something to consider next time.
All right,
Yeah.
sure.
So now it just kind of leaves the question of like the next upcoming Dissected episode. Which one will come out first? Sonic Frontiers Dissected or Sonic Movie 2 Dissected?
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
no, I know. I've
Jeez.
still got to get to work on that.
You and
I keep forgetting I've got most of the voice lines, but I need to double check just to know it's all the voice lines. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start poking Roger just to get them back.
Yeah, well, I could help you out with the voice act. Like, I just need like all the voice files and a script to like, detail like, oh, these go this and there, so I can at least help like stitch all the audio into just this.
That's the
one
problem. There
audio.
is no script. It's all improvising.
Yeah.
It's a big mess.
Yeah. But I suppose I'll
that's
recycle some voice clips, such as Roger saying, "Spoilers! The movie's been out for a month now," and I'll just add the subtitles. Actually, it's been out for like several months now, Roger.
Recycling audio, which
Yeah.
that always threw me off with the first Sonic movie Dissected. It always threw me off like how you recycled like an old audio of Captain Theory in there. So like most of the video is Captain Theory talking normal, and then suddenly the whole "I disagree" thing. It's like, oh, now he suddenly goes through reverse puberty.
Yeah, that's my bad. I just wanted to some filler sounds.
Hey, nice, you got $10.
Thank you, Shadow Tamer.
Hey!
Oh, shit.
Nice.
With a turkey.
Yeah.
Gobble gobble. There's your
So
late
the $10
Thanksgiving
is
present.
to go towards a turkey.
Hey.
Thank
You
you.
can buy a new comic with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't buy
comic.
turkey with that.
Nah, unless it's a turkey leg.
Perhaps,
yeah.
yes.
Might be lucky.
I say save it
Roast
for your
beef you
heating
like.
bill.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Another thing, next stream is also going to be a weird one because then it's Christmas Day, so we're probably not going to be live. So it's going to be pre-recorded. Although at this point, I don't know what it's going to be about yet. I mean, everyone says we didn't review Sonic Christmas Blast, but although I could have sworn we did, so I'm kind of confused on that.
No, like the Christmas stream that we did, we only talked about the one Sonic X comic that was Christmas themed, where Sonic's like, oh, there ain't no Santa Claus, and Robotnik's posing as Santa, and Station Square's like, oh, Sonic's been naughty, we gotta obey Santa and capture Sonic. So that whole story.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna do Sonic Christmas Blast then, I suppose. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Like,
Alright.
I think we might have mentioned Christmas Blast in that stream, just very briefly, but no, it was just the Sonic X comic.
All right. Wow. So we
minor
talked. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Minor correction. We will also be streaming on the 10th, right?
Sorry. The 10th.
You said next stream will be on Christmas, but like that's still 4 weeks away.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
still
we have
one
another
while.
stream before that. Okay.
Yes.
Next stream is that's when Sonic Prime is out, right?
Yeah, that should be out by now, yeah.
15th of
Oh.
December, I think.
Right.
Cool.
So,
The topic got
Possibly.
chosen for us.
yeah, because I knew we didn't have a single normal stream anymore this year. So next time we're going to talk about Sonic Prime probably, and then this Christmas. Oh, sorry, got my time all over the place. I've been so busy with my own projects, I kind of lost track of the world. I'm old.
Yeah.
Time goes fast for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the 15th, yeah, December 15th, that's when Sonic Prime starts.
Ah, okay. So I guess
Yeah.
we won't be talking about Sonic Prime next time because
Yeah.
it'll still be 5 days away.
Oh, so we do
Yeah,
have a
it's-
normal stream. Darn.
Yeah, our last normal stream for this year, and then the actual Christmas stream will be Christmas Blast, and maybe throw our 2 cents out for a quick Sonic Prime thoughts.
I was kind of hoping we didn't have a normal stream because it kind of feels weird to have a Sonic X Season 3 start now. Would have been fit more dramatically if we started next year. But yeah, I guess next time we'll talk about Sonic X Season 3. Hooray!
Yeah.
Or more Fleetway.
Yeah, or more Fleetway, we could do that, yeah.
Yeah, so good news, Rhino. We will talk about Sonic X next time then. Finally, look
Maybe.
Sonic in space. We'll see. Alright, no, never mind then. Forget I said anything. I'm stupid. Big surprise there. Well,
Okay.
everyone, thanks for joining again. Thank you, Abby, for cameo, for being a guest today.
Oh, no problem. I'm actually getting better at this, I think.
Yeah, much
Oh,
better than
hey.
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I told anyone here other than Roger, but I've been doing some speech practices offset and doing a little bit of stand-up at a local bar, and yeah, it's actually working out pretty well. I've got a lot more confidence, and it's working out very well.
That's a step. You're shy, and now you're doing stand-up? Oof, I barely dare to do stand-up.
Oh, the stage fright, but you just got to get up there, start making random jokes, and
Sad thing is, despite my experience with like staging in theater, I've done just proper stage acting. I've never really done much stand-up comedy thing.
How dare you? I'm disappointed in you.
but I got to say the experience really helped out. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I always turned my presentations for school into a stand-up comedian routine. I was just making jokes. That's the only way I could have enough confidence to keep talking. Because then you kind of hide behind a character instead of you yourself standing in front of the class. Kind of helped me psychologically. But yeah, I guess we're going in a big conversation now again. We should be ending it. So yeah, thanks for joining everyone. And see you next time with a regular Dissected then, I guess. Hooray, back to Fleetway. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yo!
Doodle pip.